Hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar from somewhere. I hope everyone's having a lovely week. I know we are approaching a very long weekend, so I hope everyone's excited and I hope everyone learns something new today's webinar. Just a friendly reminder, guys, please make sure that microphones are muted. We would really love to hear your voices, but let's use the chat for that. Let's try and keep our microphones muted, please. Thank you so much. Can I get maybe a heart emoji if everyone could hear me? Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone. I'm seeing people coming in. I hope everyone's excited. We will learn a lot with today's webinar. Our general manager will be talking about, the work culture in the US and how it's a bit different from the Philippines. And it would really help you out, especially like if you guys are starting to work remotely for your clients, it'll be very beneficial to you in growing into the remote industry. Without further ado, I would of course like to introduce Lawrence. He is our general manager for the Philippines, and he will be discussing today's webinar. Please give us a round of applause digitally.
Hey, hi, Jet. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Hello, guys. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are. So, yeah, before I start my presentation with you guys, I would just like to have a short activity. Are you game for a short activity? Just give a thumbs up if you want to have a short activity. Right? I want this talk to be interactive because I want to know you better so that it's not just like you're listening to me or we can have this talk or have this seminar or webinar to have an interactive activity. So hold on and let me just share my screen. Okay. Share. Okay. All right, guys. So I have here a Mentimeter survey. So first, I want to know how are you feeling today so that I'll see who are really excited, sad, angry, happy, fearful, or bored during this talk. So if you can just go to menti.com and use the code here, 698582 and 5. So there, I'll just copy this link and then I'll just paste it here in the chat box in case that you are not getting it. There. Perfect. Okay, I have already 1, 2, 50 happy, excited, sad. Oh, I wonder who is sad. And hopefully after this talk, you'll be happy because you'll be applying to our jobs and, you'll be hired eventually. So let's hope for the best. All right, I'm seeing some numbers going up. Excited and happy are the most answered feeling for today. I see that a lot of you are feeling excited. So I hope that the excitement will persist until the end of our presentation. So yeah. Okay, I see some chat here, excited. Okay, so I think everyone has already, you know, answered this survey. So hopefully, I still have you guys until the end of this presentation and you feel excited until the end. So, all right. So let's start our talk for today. All right. So again, thank you so much, guys, for attending this webinar. I understand that today is a holiday and today is Noakim Day, and thank you for attending and giving your precious time with us to learn some new tips with our clients or from our top clients while you are having your quick vacation wherever you are. So again, today, we're going to explore some key differences between work culture in the US and in the Philippines. And understanding these differences will help you work more effectively with a US based clients. You need to build stronger relationship and avoid common misunderstandings. So, next slide, please. All right, so we need to get to know the US work culture because as you know, we tend to have similarities with the US and the Philippines, but we have also different working culture with the US clients and with us here in the Philippines. So to prevent this miscommunication and have a smooth working relationship, I'll be giving you some tips and for you to learn about this work culture nuances. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, how is US culture different from the Philippines? Do you have any idea? Like in the chat box, can you please type in your ideas or knowledge about how different is US culture from the Philippines and in the US? Straightforward. Thank you, Melody, for answering that. Any others? Transparent. Okay, they don't hold back with their comments. So these answers are the US work culture, calling by their first name. Right. So yeah, all of your answers are correct. Thank you so much for sharing. So yeah, let's go to the other slide. So Melody's answer is very timely with the first topic, which is straightforward communication. So in the US, communication is often direct, verbally expressed, and straight to the point. On the other hand, Filipino communication style tends to rely on implied messages, nonverbal cues, and body language. So there is a lot of differences when it comes to our communication style and with the US communication style. So the US is direct, verbally expressed, and straight to the point, while we are more tend to be having this shyness, or we don't really imply the message straight to the point. So for example, instead of directly saying no, we'll say maybe, I'll see. But our US clients or US communication working styles or communication styles is they want a direct answer rather than having a lot of beating around the bush. All right, so next slide, please. Okay, in order for us to ensure that we are directly communicating, or we don't have to beat around the bush, is to shift our perspective. So we see the directness as a way to ensure clear communication, especially in this remote setting where misunderstandings can easily happen. So instead of us viewing this directness as rude or confrontational, this is a good channel wherein we are making sure that we have clear communication with them. Actually, this is vital and essential, especially in working remotely, because we don't see them face to face. We just see them through our screens. So there are times that we can get easily misconstrued or misinterpreted. So instead of us telling a lot of things rather than being direct to the point, it creates a lot of interpretation on the client's side. So when communication is clear and explicit, there's a little room for confusion. So we need to be clear and direct when it comes to communicating them our concerns or what we want to imply. Next is what I've mentioned about is don't beat around the bush. We need to communicate directly without being rude. We still communicate professionally, just state what is happening and what needs to be done. So no need for us to over explain it or sugarcoat. And next is build a genuine relationship. So rapport is number one way of us having a genuine relationship with our clients. So in creating rapport, it helps us to communicate better with our clients. So if we have a good working relationship with them, we can joke with them without being rude, without offending anyone. So yeah. So next slide, please. So second point is get used to constructive feedback. So with us here in the Philippines, feedback is often conservative and carefully worded to avoid hurting feelings, right? So for us in the US, where our clients are um, communicating with us with their feedback. American work culture is more direct, and you can expect to receive constructive feedback regularly, especially if they see that there are a lot of things that you need to improve. So instead of us taking it personally, our clients would want us to improve and to make our work better. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, like what I've mentioned, don't take things personally. So you need to understand that feedback is about improving work and not questioning your skills. Your client or employer is not trying to question you, but to help you define clearly what are your plans or what do you want to do, and also to give you a constructive feedback when it comes to your performance. Be objective and use this as an opportunity for you to improve your output. Next, please. Okay, it's okay to speak up, and don't be afraid to share your thoughts and making sure that you're on the same page. Because we need to clarify our expectations by asking questions and confirming all of the details that we need to know before we do our work. Because if you are not sure about what you're doing or what you need to what things you need to be done, it will create more confusion, and the client will not be happy on what you need to finish or what you need to work on. So let the client know what you need to know, or what you need to do. Suggest better approaches if you have to, and negotiate with the deadlines. So it's important for the client to have a clear expectation on how you will do the work and when you can finish the work. Okay, next, please. There, using titles and honorifics. So here in the Philippines, we often tend to use ma'am, sir, Mr., and miss. But in the US working culture, they are being called by their first name. Like one of the participants here said, James said, calling by their first name. So here in the Philippines, we tend to use ma'am or sir, Mr. and miss. But in the US, it's a first name basis. Okay. So what we can do is use the first name. It's perfectly fine for them to be called by their first name, and avoid using nicknames unless you're sure it's okay. So don't get discomfort of you know calling them by their first name, and ask if they use nicknames so that it's better for you to address them correctly. Next. Okay, fewer holidays. So fewer holidays compared to the Philippines. US only have federal holidays, sometimes bank holidays. So most of our clients are following their US holidays and not the Philippine holidays for their independent contractors. So ensure that you are asking them if we are gonna follow U.S. holidays or Philippine holidays to have our days off. So next, what can you do is you get clear on leave policies early on. At the first, when you are hired by our clients, you ask what holidays should be followed. Is it okay if you follow the U.S. holidays or the Philippine holidays? So they have here the following holidays. It's the federal holidays of 2024. So the federal holidays are much like our regular holidays, but in the Philippines, it's more of um, religious and cultural. So yeah, you need to know what holidays are your clients are following in order for you to know which holidays you will not be working or holidays that you're supposed to work. Okay, next, you need to endorse tasks properly, making sure or ensuring that your work is completed and endorsed before you take the time off. Okay, and just to set your expectation, there are no 13-month pay or year-end bonuses. So there are certain circumstances that the clients are giving a year-end bonus, which are the performance bonus, but it is not considered as a 13-month pay because we are not regular employees. We are not working under Philippine government. So 13-month pay is not mandatory. So please don't expect that our client will be giving us 13-month bonus. It's their discretion if they would want to give a holiday pay when it comes to 13-month pay or equivalent to 13-month pay. But some of our clients tend to have that because they are asking what are other benefits that can be given to the independent contractors. So hoping that we can get clients like that who are very generous. But most of our clients are generous, just to let you know. So yeah. Next would be work-life boundaries. So this is the dream of every workers to have a work-life boundaries. So here in the Philippines, we often involve asking personal questions to build rapport. And however, in the US, work-life boundaries are more defined. In such question might feel intrusive. So for us, here with your clients, there are certain days that you can talk about your life with the client or their life with you, but most of the time it's work. So you need to have a clear boundaries to have your work and personal life separate. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so like what I have mentioned, we need to set clear boundaries between work and personal life, unless our client or your client is very interested in your personal life. So they will be the one to ask you some questions, and it's best to know where um, the line is, and you can share personal things, but not oversharing too much because they don't need to know everything. Okay. And then next is use of proper channels for non-work topics. So if you have a random channel that you post random topics wherein you talk about your personal life, what is happening during weekends, like you can, it's a part of how you connect with your client, but use proper channels and not use the channels that you only use for work purposes. Okay, next slide, please. Next, the utang na loob culture or debt of gratitude. So here in the Philippines, debt of gratitude or utang na loob is very high among people, especially when it comes to working. But Filipinos sometimes are misinterpreting our clients by our clients giving us like working laptops or anything that is coming from the client, like they are giving some packages, but our clients is just building long-lasting relationship and overstated kindness, but not taking it too personal. It's more of a professional because they appreciate the work that you do. Yeah, don't take it personally just because the client is giving you such things. It's because they appreciate the work that you do and they want to build a long lasting working relationship with you. Well, you can develop the friendship with your US clients, but in most cases it's simply business relationship. Okay, and then next is avoid asking for favors. Actually, some of the people in the regular companies, we do ask cash advance. But with our clients, we don't typically request that. And we don't seek personal favors or making requests that are unrelated to work. So let's avoid asking favors because it will not help you build a working relationship or successful working relationship with your clients. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, language switching. So, in the Philippines, switching between English and local languages is common, especially here in the Philippines. We are practicing different languages in different dialects. But in the US, with the US clients, it's best to stick to standard English to avoid confusions. So, what you can do is be mindful of the regional terms that your client might not understand. So, for example, CR here in the Philippines is called restroom. So, stick to the word restroom rather than CR. Rubber shoes, we use that here in the Philippines, but in the US, it's called stickers. Soft drinks, we use that here in the Philippines, but in the US, we just say soda or any carbonated drink. Ref, short for refrigerator, we understand that, but in the US, it's fridge. And other terms or common regional terms that you can see here in the screen. So let's be mindful of using that. Okay, so, and all of this that I have discussed, I have here the do's and don'ts when working with the US clients. So next slide, please. Okay, so for the do's, embrace direct communication. And like what I have mentioned, you know, the directness of talking to the client makes you to have a clear communication with the client, and instead of viewing this as aggressive or rude, um, view it as a positive way in order for you to communicate effectively and clearly with the client. So for don'ts, avoid ambiguity. Don't beat around the bush or sugarcoat. Instead, you need to be clear and direct. And then welcome constructive feedback. Um, for the constructive feedback, you need to see it as an opportunity rather than a weakness, because constructive feedback makes you improve your work, improve yourself, and improve your working relationship with your client. And the don'ts is don't take feedback personally. When you are working with the US clients, we are working professionally. So instead of us taking it in personally, the feedback that our client give us, make it as a positive regard, wherein we need to ensure that we are not thinking to be offended when given useful, objective, and constructive feedback. Next. Okay, do's is stay aligned. You need to ask questions to avoid misunderstanding and set a clear expectation for a common goal. And for don'ts, don't expect to be spoon fed, because being with a US client or working with a US client, you need to have the discipline. You need to be proactive in order for you to know what's going on. They will give you instructions, but you need to work on it, and you need to know and research about it. If there are things that you don't understand, let's go with asking questions to avoid the misunderstanding. Because once you are aligned with your client, you are a self-starter, and you are already ready to take on the task that your client is giving you. Okay, use the first name. Address your client or employer by their first name instead of saying ma'am or sir, because they don't really use that. And then next is avoid using nicknames or pet names. Just keep it professional. So just use the first name, and just ask them if they are comfortable having nicknames or calling them by their nicknames. The next, understand leave policies. So like what I have mentioned earlier, clarify local and US holidays early on, right from the start when you are hired. Plan your task and time off accordingly so that you can endorse your task to your other teammates in case that you're going on a leave. And then for the don'ts, don't leave your client hanging. You need to notify them like ASAP before you have your leave, like 2 weeks before your leave, so that they will be ready with the contingencies if you can't make it to work. And then be transparent in case of delays. So let them know why the delay happened, what can be done about it, and how you can avoid it in the future. Because giving them the right expectation and being true to what you do, it will help them and it will help you improve in the future. And the thing that you don't want to do, or you know, don't lie to your clients or make up stories, because at the end of the day your clients will discover that you're lying or making up stories. You need to be held accountable of the things that you've done incorrectly or you failed to do. But you know, being true to your client um, will lead you to a long lasting relationship. Okay, next, establish work-life boundaries. You know, you can share your personal details selectively and keep conversations professional. And then for the don'ts, please refrain from personal requests. So, like what I've mentioned, don't um, ask for cash advance or any gifts from your client. If the client gives you gifts or something, it's because they are appreciative of what you do. And then create professional rapport, gradually build friendships, prioritize professional relationship over friendship. Because if you want to have a long lasting working relationship with your clients, ensure that you build good rapport with them. Even though you finish your contract with them, it depends if they will you know, renew your contract or stay connected with you if there are other opportunities coming in. And then lastly, next, the utang na loob culture, the debt of gratitude. Because you know, it's just a Filipino work culture, but you don't need to have it you know, with you with your clients in the US. Because utang na loob or debt of gratitude is not something that the US culture or US clients are used to. Okay, next, use appropriate channels wherein you can display or discuss non-work topics. Like what I have mentioned, you need to have random channels rather than use the professional one where you update work or any deliverables for your clients to maintain your professionalism. Okay, refrain from asking repetitive questions. Refrain from asking them that has been addressed unless it's specific or there is a certain concern or there is a certain situation that you need to ask it again. Okay, when asking multiple questions, ensure that they are relevant to the context. So if you have one topic at hand, ask those relevant questions. And if the question you have in mind is not relevant to the current topic, then you can park it and ask it after the topic that you are talking about. And then last is taking notes. You need to record everything, whether it may be in a notepad or you are just typing it in your document or in Google Docs, and organize it later in order for you to stay aligned with the client, especially if there are meetings. Maintain a running list of tasks, including ongoing and those needing more details, and ask questions to gather necessary task information. So in taking notes, you need to be more compartmentalized, wherein there are questions or notes that you need to ask during the meeting, questions or notes after the meeting, and those notes that will help you uh, create the output or finish the work to be done after the meeting. And lastly, avoid disrespectful communication in all interactions. Form replies in a well mannered way. So, being direct with your client is not rude, but you need to ensure that you are communicating professionally and in a well mannered way. Okay, next, respond promptly. You need to answer texts, emails as soon as possible. If you are working in a straight or 8 hours working, you need to be online. If you are working on Slack, you need to have an online notification on Slack. And if you are in Microsoft Teams, ensure that there is a green light if you're online so that your client will see if you're online. And if you are given a message by your client, or there is a message that popped up, ensure that you don't let the client wait before you answer. So the threshold, or the standard threshold is at least within 5 minutes if you are not busy or if you are not in a meeting, so that the client will see that you are very prompt and you are ready to take on what they are asking or what they want you to do. Okay, you need to set alarms, you need to be organized, especially in the online environment, and avoid regional expressions like um, Philippinism, or like what I have mentioned, the common terms that we use here in the Philippines. Let's avoid that and use the common language that the US clients are using. Okay, designate workspace. You need to have a dedicated and motivating workspace. You need to have a specific workplace that you do your work in order for you to be focused and you have all your attention. So, for example, you have a specific corner at your room. You have your own monitor, you have your own laptop, you have your own ring light, and you are away from noises, especially with the background noises. So that if you are in a meeting, you are very focused and very attentive to everything that is being said in the meeting. Next, avoid making your entire house your workspace. So, like what I have mentioned, you need to have a dedicated corner wherein you put your workspace in order for you to be attentive and have the focus that you need. Because if you have workspace all over your place or your house, um, you tend to have inattention and your focus is all over the place. So you don't have the time to finish a certain task. Um, and the output that you need to do will not be able to be delivered to the client. Okay, next. Okay, back up everything. Um, since we are working online most of the time, we need to have a certain repository of documents, files, and even internet connections. So if we don't have the usual internet connection that we have, we need to have also backups like that. So for example, your mobile data, you use your mobile data for internet, you have additional internet connection if everything goes wrong with your current connection. Laptop, if your laptop is not currently working, you at least you have other devices that you can use in order for you to work effectively. Because if your current laptop is not working, you need to have a backup device wherein you can continue your work. And when it comes to the storage, you need to have a repository of the documents, the files that you need to have in order for you to get them in case that your laptop corrupts and your device is not working anymore. Okay, and then since we are working anywhere and everywhere, it's better not to use unsafe networks. So we need to avoid using public internet connections because there are certain security breaches when you use public networks. So, in order for you to feel safe when you are working outside, just have your mobile data or bring with you your extra internet connection, like a broadband, like a prepaid broadband, in order for you to ensure that the data or information that you have with you is being handled sensitively, especially with the client's information. And lastly, note on the 13-month pay that it's not mandatory for the US clients to give 13-month pay to their contractors. There are certain client that has benefits, but 13-month pay is not mandatory. But there are clients giving other benefits rather than the salary. So yeah. Next. So yeah, in summary, okay, for the communication style, like what I have mentioned, PH is indirect, US is straightforward. For the feedback, we are conservative, but US is direct and objective. Use of honorifics, common in the PH like ma'am and sir, but in the US it's not common. Holidays and times off. PH celebrate lots of national holidays, including cultural and regional events, but the US is limited to a few federal or bank holidays. Work relationships. We value the pakikisama here in the Philippines, and we have lots of after work activities to strengthen the bond. But in the US, we have a clear boundaries between work and personal relationships. And lastly, language. We use multi languages, dialects. We tend to switch English, Taglish, and other regional languages or dialects. But in the US, it's just the standard English. And lastly, understanding these differences will help us work more effectively, improve productivity, and foster better relationships with our US clients. So with this, I would like to end or wrap up this talk with it's clear that understanding the differences between the US and Filipino work culture is the key to building strong, effective relationships with your clients. By embracing the direct communication, being open to constructive feedback, respecting work life boundaries, and adapting to different practices, you'll be better equipped to navigate the global workplace. Remember, it's all about mutual respect and understanding. And by making small adjustments in how we communicate and collaborate, we can bridge cultural gaps and work more harmoniously. Thank you for your attention, and I hope these insights help you in your journey to working successfully with US based clients. Let's continue to learn, adapt, and grow together. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and hoping to see you on the next webinars that we have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for walking us through that, Renz. So today, guys, we will be opening the Q&A session for today's webinar. If you guys have any questions aside from, what Lawrence has discussed today, feel free to send them through the chat. If you have questions on how to apply, feel free to send them. We will also be sharing our handles for different platforms. So you could visit our LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok accounts if you want to see some funny but informative videos. So send in your questions, guys, and Lawrence and me would be more than happy to answer them for you. It's okay if it's long? Okay. I think Renz would be the best person to answer this.
All right. When is the best time to ask for a raise? So, some of our clients, if we have a probationary period, for example, we are have 3 months, for example, 3 months probationary period, and if the client sees your performance, the client tends to talk to you about your performance and how they will be giving you a raise. So in that talk with the client, with the performance evaluation after 3 months, you can already ask that. And some clients are having already the structure where when the raise will be given. So there is a 3 months, 6 months, in 1 year, depending on the clients if they want to extend your contract. Because technically, some independent contractors have only 1 year contract, but it depends on the client if they want you to be extended. So there are certain times like that. But as early as 3 months, if they see that you are really capable of what you do, and you give your best, you go above and beyond, they will consider to have you a raise, and you can easily open that. Right. It's best to do that in the performance evaluation. Okay, about resigning, is it also a standard with US clients to ask for a 30-day notice? Well, there are differences. some clients tend to have an immediate resignation, like the following day they will cancel your services, but it's already indicated in the contract, from the client. So ensure that you read the contract about the termination or resigning. But usually it's just around 15 days would be the minimum, and 30 days is the maximum with the client. So it really depends on how the client would be needing you to finish the task or endorse the task to the new person. You will be replaced.
So it's like really important to read through the contract. The clients really specify this. So if you don't see it in your contract, my suggestion is to like create a follow-up and ask them
Mhm.
right away before you actually start your work. It's also for your safety if ever that, they would see that you're not compatible with them. At least you're aware of how long would like the notice be.
Right.
So always
Thank
read
you
the
for,
contract. Yeah,
yeah, thank you for adding that up, Jad.
you're welcome. Um, Ooh, okay. He's with an independent contractor setup.
I got no contracts, independent contractor setup. Yes, actually, if it's not a contract, it's just an engagement or an agreement with the client. So uh, a lot of independent contractor setup, they have like an engagement or an agreement to be signed by the client and the independent contractor. Here in somewhere, we always encourage our clients to have the independent contractor agreement so that both of you are safe when it comes to the legalities with the client. So yeah, if you have no contract with your current setup, it's better to ask for at least an agreement with them so that you know the boundaries, and you know the things that you need to have as an independent contractor.
Awesome. All right. Well, we still have a couple more minutes before we end today's webinar. So if you guys like have any questions, feel free to send them in. Also, if you guys are looking for work and you'd like to, like work remotely, feel free to visit our website and also our Facebook account. We always post new roles there. We also include the link. So if you want to know more. All right, we have Rosalie. She has a question about time tracker. Yeah.
All right. Will there be a time tracker provided here once hired, or screen capture application? So, Rosalie, it depends on the client if they would be having time tracker um, with their independent contractors. So it's also the client's discretion if they want to track your working time, and if they want to screen capture the task that you are doing with them. But this is not very common with our client. They don't usually have time tracker, but if they do, they will be giving you at least knowledge about it and what application they are using once you are hired for the role. So yeah, you can also clarify that once you're hired with a client if they do time tracking, because not most commonly with our clients, they don't usually use time tracker. So it really depends on the client if they will be giving you a time tracker, because you will be working directly with the client. So the client will be the one to provide you those information.
It's pretty rare. I rarely handled a role
Mhm.
where the clients actually required time trackers, but I've spoken with a lot of candidates who are asking it. But yeah, it like Brent said, it's pretty rare for our clients here at Somewhere, that they actually require a time tracker or like screen capture. I think maybe clients who are dealing with very sensitive information, that might be the time where time trackers would come in or screen captures, but yeah, it's pretty rare.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we have George here. Is it okay if I take the, answer his question for you, Rens?
Yep. Hmm.
Awesome. All right. Well, George has a question here. He's asking, can you give me an idea on how to improve my CV to attract clients? A huge suggestion that I always say to my candidates is to make sure that you specify how long you stayed with either a specific client or how long have you been doing freelancing, because it's important for them to see how many years you've been working in a specific industry. And aside from that, of course, they'd want to know what you've been doing there. So aside from like maybe the company or the industry, you could add about 2 or 3 bullets discussing maybe your main responsibilities instead. And then if you'd like to add some more, of course, you could add the bullets, especially if you're a manager. You would have a lot more responsibilities under that belt. But biggest suggestion would be add the details that could relate your experiences to the current job you're applying for, and also specify the length of the years you've stayed with the company. Oh, almost forgot. Make sure that emails are updated. Sometimes we have applications coming in, but emails are not working anymore. So double check on your spelling. That's a huge error. If ever, you might be chosen for the role, but you can't be contacted with your email. If you're applying as well, make sure that your phone number is also accessible to reach. Good. Oh, and maybe I think you might have questions as well about, how, yeah, formatting. Actually, a simple resume is okay. Plain and simple is good. I think it would be more clear for, like the person screening your resume, to actually read the information on it instead of like adding bits and pieces here for like the design and stuff. Color can be changed as well. It's really depending on your discretion, but for like how you include the range for your experiences, please put at the top your most recent experience, and then at the bottom would be like your very first work, let's say. So at least, the client, when they read your resume, they'll be seeing your most recent experience. Sometimes clients tend to check that out because they want to see if you worked recently for something that they're looking for. But yeah. Okay. Objective. Um, to be honest, it really depends on the role you're applying for. If it's a writer role, I think it's a good thing to add, because we could see like your skills in writing. Maybe what I can suggest for this, instead of an objective, maybe a summary of your skills and experiences is better instead of like, your objective in applying. I think for the objectives, it's better to add it to your cover letter if it's required, of course. That's most of what I can think of right now with the resumes. Because it's important to see your experiences instead of like just the objective. Because, let's say you get a conversation with your client, they would also be asking that. So yeah, I think redundancy would be lessened as well. But it's good to practice like saying it. All right. Keep your questions coming in. And we hope that, we could help you guys out and land a client soon.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
keep your questions coming in so that we can answer.
we have about 3 minutes more, but
Yeah.
yeah, send in your questions, guys.
Right.
All right. How about the set of interviews? Could you please clarify your question there? Is it like the type of interviews you'll be encountering, or are you talking about like tips on the interviews? Tips. Okay. All right. Tips. Oh, justified numbers of interviews. Maybe Renz and I can chip in from like different
Mhm.
perspectives because this actually really depends on like the role you're
Yeah.
applying for. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the justified number of interviews, actually most common roles like EA roles, customer service representative roles, they take like for client interviews one and mostly two interviews. So the initial interview with the client and the final interview with the client. So after we endorse your profile to the client, they will review and schedule you for an initial interview, and then there will be a final interview. But some of other cases, like there would be a graphic designer role or any creative roles, for example, they have set of interviews and assessment. So some assessment are in the form of interview. So they will have initial interviews and then assessment interview. They will give you the assessment and then assessment interview and then final interview. So it comprises of three interviews. So sometimes there is an initial interview with the manager, and then there will be an interview with the HR, there will be an interview with the VP and the CEO. So there are four. So the most accepted or range of interviews or justified interviews are around two to three, sometimes four, but within two to three would be the range. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jed.
Mhm. Yes, actually. The most that my clients had were three, but it's just because you had to have an initial interview, and then the second would be more of uh them like asking the questions on the experiences. The first is more of like getting to know the candidates, and like assessing their communication skills because this was for a customer service role and it's more on the technical side. The third, like Franz mentioned, it's actually more of you speaking with the VP, let's say of the department and stuff. But yeah, typically it's three. Four, I rarely encounter that. It might be if the client is very meticulous, but two to three is sort of like the basis of the normal numbers of interviews. George also mentioned, I think tips of the interviews. Maybe I could also answer that. Maybe I suggest to be as transparent as you can as well. But let's say you sign an NDA and you're not allowed to share the company name itself. That is okay, of course. Maybe just talk about what you've done for them and maybe the nature of the industry you've worked with, because it's also important. Some clients tend to like find people who have been in the same industry as them because it will also help you out to work for them well. And aside from that, I highly suggest before the interview to practice. Practice talking to yourself on the mirror. I've done that a couple of times as well when I applied before. Try and research some questions that have been asked in previous interviews for other people. YouTube is also there, and basically like practice on your own. I think it really helps, especially when like some recruiters also ask like surprise questions so that you won't be too shocked when you get asked a different type of question. Yeah. Oh, well, I think that is about it for today. Yeah, since it's already 7 and we don't want to take too much of your vacation time from you guys. But of course, if you'd like to apply to one of our openings, please show us the next slide. Thank you so much. There we go. So for us to help you guys out and land a role, please visit our social media accounts. We have our Facebook, it's Jobs Somewhere, and also a group, Job Somewhere Community. We also like upload the form there if we have new seminars in a month. LinkedIn, Facebook, LinkedIn, we always post new roles there where you can apply. We also include the link to our website, Instagram and TikTok, and of course our main website. It's jobs.somewhere.com. So if you guys like would also request an update on your application, feel free to send like a question through our Job Somewhere Facebook account, and we would be more than happy to follow up with the team on who's handling your application for us.
we look we are looking forward to see your resumes in one of our job
Yes. Yeah.
roles. All
You're
right.
welcome, Melody. We hope that we've been quite informative today.
All right. Thank you so much and have a wonderful long weekend.
Bye, guys.